Okay, if you're not ready, just type in chat. I just want to make sure everyone's ready, so I'm going to start now. Okay, I hope everyone can see it, can see the slideshow. If you can't, just let me know, please. Okay, an introduction to biology. That's what we'll be starting off for this week. And we'll be talking about the nature of life and the process of science. Okay, so the science of life. So in science, we study the origins and the history of life and once living things. And we also study the structures of living things, how living things interact with one another, and how living things function. So, what do biologists do? Well, they study the diversity of life, they research diseases, develop technologies, improve agriculture, and preserve the environment. Also, if you have any questions or you want me to slow down on anything, please let me know because I want to make sure that everyone is okay. Okay, so the 8 characteristics of life. So there are 8 characteristics of life, and we will be talking about them more in depth throughout the unit, but right now we'll just cover them briefly. So the first one, living things are made up of one or more cells. Basically, cells are the basic unit of structure and function. And the second one displays organization. Living things also display organization, which means they are arranged in an orderly way. For example, specialized cells are organized into groups that work together called tissues, and then tissues are organized into organs, and then the organ systems work together to support an organism. Okay, so the third one is grows and develops. So growth results in the addition of mass to an organism, and in many organisms, the formation of new cells and new structures. And then the fourth one reproduces. A species is a group of organisms that can breed with one another and produce fertile offspring. And the fifth one, response to stimuli. Anything that is a part of the internal or external environments and causes some sort of reaction by the organism is called stimulus. And then this reaction to a stimulus is a response. And then you can see. And then for the sixth one, requires energy. Living things get their energy from food, and most plants and some unicellular organisms use light energy from the sun to make their own food and fuel their own activities. So I have a question now. I don't expect you at all to know this already, but if anyone knows it and knows what this process is called, most plants and some unicellular organisms use light energy from the sun, you can put it in the chat. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, photosynthesis. It seems like a lot of you know it. That's good. And yeah, so we will go more in depth on that process later on, usually in the second half, I think, of this course. But yeah, we will talk about it more and discuss it more. And then also for energy, organisms that cannot make their own food get energy by consuming other organisms. And then for the seventh one, maintains homeostasis. The regulation of an organism's internal conditions to maintain life is called homeostasis. And if anything happens within or to an organism that affects its normal state, processes to restore the normal state begin. And then for the eighth and final characteristic of life, adaptations evolve over time. And adaptation is any inherited characteristic that results from changes to a species over time. Okay, so what is science? Well, first off, science is a body of knowledge based on the study of nature. And then the nature or essential characteristics of science is a scientific inquiry. Scientific inquiry is both a creative process and a process rooted in unbiased observations and experimentation. And then scientific knowledge. Most scientific fields are guided by research that results in a constant reevaluation of what is known. This reevaluation often leads to new knowledge that scientists then evaluate. So, accepted theories. Scientists welcome debate about one another's ideas, and then science is advanced by accommodation to new information as it is discovered. And then questioning results. So, observations or data that are not consistent with current scientific understanding are of interest to scientists. And then these inconsistencies often lead to further investigations. For example, you can see in the picture below that the bird has two fingers, and I think that might be a thumb, but it says finger. But then the bat has four fingers and a thumb, and then humans have four fingers and a thumb. So you can see how the inconsistency between like the hand and the wings of each animal. And that's how some scientists gather more information, and it leads to further investigations. And then test claims. Science-based information makes claims on a large amount of data and observations obtained from unbiased investigations and carefully controlled experimentation. Conclusions are then reached from the evidence. And then after all this, it goes undergoing peer review. Before it is made public, science-based information is reviewed by scientists' peers, and then this is a process by which the procedures used during an experiment, and then the results are evaluated by other scientists who are in the same field who are conducting similar research. And then uses the metric system. So scientists can repeat the work of others as a part of a new experiment. And the metric system uses units with divisions that are powers of 10. So I also don't expect you to know this, but know the answer of this. I'll explain it if nobody knows. So why do all scientists use the metric system? And why is it important that all scientists use the metric system? You can put it down in the chat if you know the answer, but if you don't, that's totally okay. I'll just wait for like a minute if anyone wants to answer. Okay, yeah, most of the world uses the metric system. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Layla, I think that's how you say it. So that all research is based on the same system. That's right. So all the scientists are the same. And then, yeah, data has to stay consistent. Yes, it makes it easier. And then the majority of countries in the world employ the metric system of measurement. And then, yeah, this is basically what all of you guys said. It's easier for other scientists and other people to see the data that people collect, and you can't be having someone who doesn't use the metric system who's doing the same experimentation. It just like it won't work out because you'll be getting different amounts of data. But it's usually if you're not using the metric system in your classroom, that's a different case because then you're comparing it to other people who don't use the metric system. So it's all about the comparison. Okay, science in everyday life. A person who is scientifically literate combines a basic understanding of science and its processes with reasoning and thinking skills. Ethical issues must be addressed by society based on its values it holds important. Okay, so conducting an experiment. This is important for so many experiments that you'll do in the future and you'll do in a biology course you will be taking. So, first off, you want to ask a question. And scientific inquiry begins with observations. So, science inquiry involves asking questions and processing information by a variety of reliable sources. Second, you'll want to form a hypothesis. So, a hypothesis is a testable explanation of a situation. And when a hypothesis is supported by data from additional investigations, usually it is considered valid and it's accepted by the scientific community. And then third, you'll collect data. And then, so when a biologist conducts an experiment, so they investigate a phenomenon in a controlled setting to test the hypothesis. And then this will be important for the homework, controlled experiments. So a control group in experiment is a group used for comparison. And then the experimental group is the group exposed to the factor being tested. So for example, say I'm testing the height of plant growth. This is just like a random explanation. This might never come up, but it works. So say I'm testing the height growth of a plant I'm testing the height growth of the plant, and I'm testing the growth of the plant the growth of the plant that uses water to grow, and then one that doesn't use water. So the control group will be the plant that's not using water to grow. And then the experimental group is the group using water to grow. So the experimental group is always the group that has some sort of variable that's included in the experimentation. And then the control group is always the group that has nothing being done to it, or it just stays the same. And then, so for the fifth part, data gathering. So data is information gained from observations. And then quantitative data can be measurements of time, temperature, etc., or other factors. And qualitative data are descriptions of what our senses detect. And then for the sixth part of the experiment, you want to analyze the data. So a graph of data makes the pattern easier to grasp. And then even when the hypothesis isn't supported, this data is still valuable. And then lastly, you want to report your conclusions. So if the reviewers agree on the merit of the paper, then the paper is published for review by the public and used by other scientists. Usually in your biology class, you'll think, oh, fun experiment, but it's not so fun after when you have to write and stuff. So always at the end of your experiment in your biology class, you'll always have to report a conclusion and about the data and how it affected your hypothesis. Oh. Okay, well, that was the end of the slideshow, and thank you for listening. So I can see that we have like 18 minutes left. So I have a Kahoot ready that we can do. And for homework, it will be posted afterwards, or if we finish early, we can do that. And it's going to be an experimental design terms worksheet, and it's due at the beginning of class next week. And if you have any questions at all, email me or private message me at this email right here, if you can see. And Oh yeah, I will definitely link the slideshow in the Google Classroom so you can use it for homework. Yes, that will be ready after class. And if you have any other questions at all, just type them in chat or if you want to say it. Okay. It's okay. You guys can go and work on your homework, but the Kahoot, if you want to, will help you with the homework because it's about the experimental design. But yeah, okay. So let's do the Kahoot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then I'll share my screen when it's ready. Also, if you have any questions about the slideshow, please let me know. Okay. Okay, you can use the code, the game pin at the top to join. And you can either join at kahoot.it or you can join on the app. If you don't know the answer of any of these questions, it's okay. It's just for fun and to help you a little bit with your homework. Okay. Can you repeat the first characteristic of life? I can do that. Sorry, I didn't see it. But the first characteristic of life was made of one or more cells. I'll just type it in chat. Sorry, I didn't see it. I hope that answers your question. Okay, once everyone is in, we'll start. There's still a couple more people. Okay. Can you repeat the second, third, and fourth? Yeah, I can, of course. Here, I'll type them in chat in order. So the second one is displays organization. And on the slideshow, the first and second one are combined together on the second after it. And then the third one is grows and develops. And then the fourth one is reproduces. I hope that helps. Yeah, I will be posting the slides on the classroom for help. Of course. Okay. I think one more person isn't here, but is everyone ready for Kahoot? If you're not ready, type in chat. Also, I'm not sure if you can hear, but my computer is making like a lot of noise. It's making the blowing noise. So if you can hear it and it's bothering you, just let me know. Okay, well, I'm gonna start because it's been like a couple of minutes. Okay. Can everyone see it well? If you can't, just let me know. Okay. So yes, hypothesis. And that's basically what a hypothesis is. It's like before you start the experiment, that's what you think is going to happen. So basically, it's a prediction about the outcome. I guess inference would be right, but it was kind of trying to be like more specific. And conclusion is usually at the end. I guess it's also, these are like kind of words for the same thing. Sorry if the fan is like really on. It's sorry. It's like bad. And inferences, basically an inference is a guess about anything with like evidence. It's like say, oh, I think that this plant is gonna grow because the other plants did. So it's like a guess kind of with evidence. Next one. Good job, Sam. This one might be hard. I don't think I went over it, but it's okay if you don't know it. I don't expect you to know it. Okay, so a lot of you didn't get, that's totally okay because we didn't go over it. So basically, an independent variable would be the type of soil, the soil, because as you can see, like it's just independent, it's on its own. So it wouldn't be the height of the flower because that's kind of like the data you're getting, and amount of sunlight, that's it because they're, you can see from the picture it's doing like poor soil and good soil, so it couldn't be amount of sunlight because that's not what they're measuring. And then the dependent variable, I think the dependent variable would be, yeah, I think it would be, no, it's okay. Maybe it would be the amount of sunlight. I'd have to get back to you on that, but definitely the independent variable is the soil. But I think the dependent variable would be, yeah. I was either gonna say like the flower height or the I'm not really sure if it's the sunlight because nowhere they can say that there's sun, but that's okay. It's totally okay. So this will be the dependent variable. So, like we talked about, so we'll see if we were wrong or right. I think we will be right. Yep, the height of the plant. Yes, like Layla said, it's dependent on the soil and other things. Yeah. So, yeah, there is really no data on it. It's just a Kahoot. For the homework, you'll have a whole small 2 paragraphs about the data and stuff on the experiment, and that hopefully that will be better. Also, I don't expect you to know this answer. If you get it wrong, it's totally okay. For any of these, if you get it wrong, don't like hurt yourself about it. It's okay. Okay, so let's review that. So in the experiment, you can see plant A is given water and sunlight every day, and then plant B is given no water, no sunlight. Growth is measured about 4 weeks. Plant A has grown, and plant B is dead. I guess it's not a controlled experiment because all they have is that. There's no anything else, but yeah, whoever said no is correct. So it's okay if you didn't get it. It's okay. All the stuff that the Kahoot right now is like kind of like extra stuff. So even if you guys get some of it wrong, it's okay. You won't it's not that important. Like this, we didn't cover this. It's just if you know it. Yes, quantitative data because it's numbers. Okay, yes, water pH, independent variable. So we can see, does water pH affect tadpoles? And then you can see the pH of water and then the number of tadpoles and see how many tadpoles live in the water. It's kind of confusing. They don't really explain a lot. It's just a small picture, but yeah, it wouldn't be the number of tadpoles because it's not dependent on anything. Well, the number of actually it wouldn't be the number of tadpoles because it's not on own. It's like it's being controlled by the pH of water, and it wouldn't be temperature of water because they don't talk about that here, and it wouldn't be the amount of sunlight because it wouldn't it wasn't shown. And it's water pH because the water of the pH of the water is not affected by the tadpoles, but the tadpoles is affected by the pH of the water. Okay, well, almost all of you got it right. It's okay. It wasn't, we talked about this right before, but it's okay if you didn't catch it. It can't be the amount of sunlight because in the picture they don't say amount of sunlight anywhere. And it's the number of tadpoles because the number of tadpoles depend on the pH of the water. So that's why it's like the dependent variable. That's what I think of when I'm like trying to remember, oh, is it independent or is it dependent? So yeah, I just think of whatever is depending on the other thing. So we have 8 more questions left. I think after this one I'm gonna end. So this one is kind of like a not really good question because it's just numbers, but yeah, if you get it wrong, it's okay. Okay, for this one, it's kind of like you have to do, I think it's just like from 30 to 40, and then how many lines are there. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can see that here it's 5, so it's gonna have to be 35 milliliters. But I'm going to end it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to end it here. Yay. Okay. Good job, Sam, and everyone who did it, because it doesn't matter how well you do, but as long as you learn something. Okay. So, like I said, um, if you have any questions about the homework or anything at all, email me or private message me. The homework should be going up soon with the slideshow on Google Classroom. And if you're having any troubles like getting to the homework, getting to the slideshow, again, email me or private message me. And I hope you guys enjoyed it and you learned something. This week, we didn't really do something that important. It's kind of just an intro. But next week, we'll be doing ecology and I think evolution. But yeah, you guys can leave now if you want. Class is over.
Will we get homework?
Yeah, we will be getting homework. It will be on the classroom. It's just a worksheet, something small. It's about the experimental design.
Okay, thank you.